Hi there, thank you so much for joining me today. This video is going to be comparing all the makeup I finished in 2017 versus 2018, and I'm also going to be going over my beauty goals that I had set for myself at the beginning of 2018 and maybe touch on some goals that I have created for next year as well. So let's just get started. I do have some handy dandy charts, very similar to the ones that I showed in my video like this last year. Let's first go over the goals that I had set for myself for 2018. Last year, my main 4 goals were to do a low buy from February to around July, and I was only going to spend up to $75 a month on makeup. I wasn't going to go over. We all know, I talked about it in a video about how my low buy was going. I pretty much failed that every single month. I went over the $75 mark. No buys are a lot easier for me to do than low buys. If I give myself a little bit of wiggle room, I just take full advantage of it and go above my threshold every single time. So now I know in the future if I want to control my spending or kind of take down how much new makeup comes in, I have to do a no buy altogether instead of even trying to play around with low buys. The other one was for skincare and body care purchases. I wanted to adopt a 2 out, 1 in policy, where if I wanted to buy like a new face moisturizer, I had to use up 2 that I already had in my collection before I could go out and buy a new one. And for the most part, I stuck to that. I really did pare down how much skincare and hair care and body care products I had. I didn't just go out and buy a bunch of new ones. With the exception of facial sprays, I am researching and preparing for a best and worst facial spray video, so I did buy a bunch at once. But for the most part, I did pretty well at that goal, and it's probably something that I will stick to in the future. I'll just try to be more mindful about bringing in a bunch of the same product. And that makes sense. Obviously, skincare and body care, that stuff expires. I don't need to bring a bunch of new products in if I still have stuff like it in my collection. My third goal was to find a cruelty-free dupe for 2 products. The first one was the Makeup Forever highlighter in the shade 01, and the second one was the NARS Taj Mahal blush. I did find a dupe for the NARS Taj Mahal blush, a very, very affordable version. I will have that linked in a dupes video either in the cards or in the description box. I didn't find an exact cruelty-free dupe for Makeup Forever's highlighter in the shade 01. It's a very unique shade. I didn't have the highest hopes going into it, but I did buy a bunch of pinky highlighters to try and recreate the shade, and I found some alternatives. I discussed that in my most recent dupes video. I will also link that in the cards. Having that alternative and that exact dupe for the NARS blush are good enough for me. I would consider that goal to be met. And my very last goal for 2018 was to have a 100% cruelty-free makeup collection. And I think for the most part, I've stuck by that. I think I might have one product from Lipstick Queen left in my collection. I legitimately thought it was a cruelty-free brand. I got it like half off during an Ulta 21 Days of Beauty sale, and I didn't even think about it until someone mentioned it when I talked about it in a video like, hey, that's not a cruelty-free brand. I still have that in my collection. I'm gonna, obviously just use it up and then not repurchase, but I still feel like I met that goal. 99.9% of the products in my collection are cruelty-free. I can easily use up the one product that isn't. It did take me 2 years, but it was a very smooth transition for me, and I'm glad I took my time instead of just trying to do it overnight. So I think for the most part, my goals were met. I think I did a decent job at keeping up with all of them, of course, except for the low buy. That was a complete fail, but it's fine. I learned a lot about myself and my self-discipline and my purchasing habits in the process, so that's fine. For 2018, I do have some more goals, but it's more about using up product, or at least enjoying what I have. One big thing is I'm going to focus more on finishing lip products and face powders. I have a lot of both of those things, and on a day-to-day basis I find myself just going for lip balms and chapsticks, and it's a shame because all of my lip products are going to waste. Those are products that expire relatively quickly compared to powder products, and I should just enjoy them and play more with colors and play more with lip products. A major way I'm going to accomplish that first goal is to incorporate a quarterly project pan. So at the beginning of January, I will begin my first project pan. I think it'll be around 10 products, and it'll be for the first 3 months of the year. I think it'll be like 10 by spring, or something like that, 10 by spring, and then I'll have 10 by summer, 10 by fall, 10 by the end of the year. And that way I give myself about 3 months to do a dedicated project pan. I'll keep it small. I won't go too crazy with like 30 products because I do still want to play with and use the other products in my collection, I find that if I have a really large project pan or if I have multiple happening at once, then I neglect the other products in my collection, and that's not good either. And then I sometimes fall prey to getting really sick of the stuff I am using. So I think using a few products at a time and making the project pans relatively short term will keep things fresh for me, and I think I'll see better results as a result. And I kind of wanted to add a more specific project pan goal like that to the first goal, because using up more lip products, using up more face powders, that's a pretty general term. I didn't actually put any numbers to it or quantify it in any way. And sometimes when you don't put a number or something specific to a goal and you just make it really general, you're much less likely to follow up with it and actually accomplish it. So I thought I would have my goal of using up more lip products and face powders and then incorporate a project pan to actually make sure I stick to that goal. Another one I want to do is I want to create more varied and better quality eyeshadow looks. I really love playing with different powders and foundations and highlighters, and I feel like I know my skin type and my personal makeup style well enough to create good face makeup looks and lip colors as well. I know what colors I like and what works for me and what doesn't. But when it comes to eyeshadow placement and color theory, I just feel like that's always been the part of my makeup that I don't feel the most confident with. I don't know if it's because I have a certain eye shape. I have smaller eyes, they're more deep set, I have heavier lids, and they're also very asymmetrical. My actual lids look very different on each eye, so it's hard to make them look the same. But I think that's just also something that I don't focus on. Whenever I'm doing my makeup for the day, if I'm running late or if I don't have enough time or I just don't feel like it, eyeshadow is always the first thing to go. And I have a lot of new eyeshadows. I really invested in more singles this year and more palettes, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. And I just want to get more comfortable playing with colorful looks, creating different combinations, and just getting better at that. I think I'm going to focus more on finding inspiration from other YouTubers out there who have tutorials using more color, using more intricate color theory, using just, better techniques and stuff. There are so many people like that out there. If you have any recommendations, I already have quite a few on a list that I'm going to follow more and try to recreate looks that they've made. But if you have any suggestions, please let me know. I would love to check them out if I haven't heard of them already. Once again, to make that goal more attainable and more specific, I am going to I have quads now. I have empty quad palettes from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Every month when I do my makeup basket, I'm going to create 1 or 2 quads using the shadows, the single shadows that I have, and I'm going to pull those out, create a color quad of products I want to play with, and maybe try to create looks using those quads. And I will do that every month, and I might switch out more often or less often depending on how often I can play around with the looks. But using the quads is how I'm going to more easily attain that goal, because sometimes when I look at my big Z palette full of single shadows, I get really inundated because there's a lot going on, and it just kind of confuses me, and I feel like I just go to the same looks over and over again because it's safe and easy, and sometimes I don't have time in the morning to play around with different colors like that. So I think having quads, simplifying it, only having 4 colors in front of me will make it a lot easier. So really excited to start incorporating quads and creating my own little mini palettes. I think that's going to be so fun. My 4th goal, it's out of 5 goals by the way. I don't know if I said that at the beginning, but I have 5 goals. The 4th one is to discover more cruelty-free indie brands. There are so many unique and fun smaller companies out there that I want to support and I want to talk about on my channel. That one's kind of self-explanatory. Let me know if you'd be interested in me doing a video about anywhere from 5 to 10 cruelty-free independent makeup companies that I want to try next year. I've seen those floating around. They seem interesting and they do show me a lot of brands that I've never heard of before. But let me know if you'd like to see a video like that. I have quite a few brands on my list that I would love to check out and maybe buy some things from and try. And my very last one is my biggest one, and probably, I don't know if I'll hit it. We'll have to see. Maybe halfway through the year I'll do an update and see if I'm anywhere close to it. But I want to hit $1,000 in makeup empties. I have mentioned in my 2018 makeup empties video that every year I want to hit 1,000 and I never do. And I don't know why that's such a goal for me. Like I always say, $1,000 is just an arbitrary number that I throw out there. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have anything to do with the actual number of products I use up, because depending on how much the product is worth, I could use up like 75 drugstore products and still not hit that $1,000 mark. But if I use like a handful of really expensive products, then I can hit it easily. So I don't know why I think $1,000 is like the ultimate goal, but I just really want to do it. I just really want to. So I'm going to make that my goal this year. I want to hit up $1,000 worth of makeup in 2019. So hopefully I can do it. I'm going to scoot over a little bit so that there's room for charts in the corner here. Give me 1 second. So I'm going to break it up into eyes, lips, and face products. And then I'll give a total from each category from both 2017 and 2018. And then I'll also talk about how many cruelty-free products I used up and how many non-cruelty-free products I used up for both years. So let's start with eye products. The numbers were relatively the same. For brow gels, I used up 1 brow gel both years. For brow pencils, I used up 3 in 2017 and 1 in 2018. For cream eyeshadow sticks, I used 1 up in 2017, but I didn't use any up in 2018, probably because I don't have any eyeshadow sticks that I know of. For eyeliner pens, I used up 1 both years. For eyeliner pencils, I used up 3 in 2017 and 1 this year. Mascaras, I used up 6 last year and 8 this year. I think for this year, it's because if I didn't like a mascara, I would just consider it used up after like a month instead of using up for the full 3 months, because I just didn't have time. I didn't have time for bad lashes this year, so I went through a couple more this year than I normally do. And for eyeshadows, I used up 0 eyeshadows last year and 1 eyeshadow, the Wet n Wild Creme Brulee single shadow this year. So used up 15 eye products last year and 13 this year. For face products, I used up 4 concealers last year and 3 this year. I used up a color corrector, just 1 both years. I used up 2 liquid or cream highlights last year and only 1 this year. For powder highlights, I didn't use up any last year and I finished 1 this year. For face powders, I used up 2 last year and 4 this year. Foundations, I used up 3 both years. For bronzers, I didn't use up any last year and I used up 4 this year. For cream contours, 0 last year, 1 this year. Liquid blushes, 1 last year, 0 this year, because I don't own any liquid blushes anymore. For powder foundations, it was the same. I used up 2 both years. For face primers, I used up 2 last year, 1 this year. And for setting sprays, this one's the most surprising to me. I used up 6 last year and only 1 this year. And I think it's because I owned a lot of 8-ounce big setting sprays and I switched around using them like throughout the year, so I didn't ever focus on one specifically. So I'll probably use up a lot more next year because I have a lot of half-full setting sprays in my collection at the moment. So it stayed around the same when you look at the totals. I used up 23 last year and 22 this year. For lip products, I did not do as well this year, which is why I want to focus more on lip products next year. I used up 2 lip pencils both years, a lip primer last year but 0 this year, 3 lipsticks last year and 0 this year, 1 liquid lipstick both years, and 4 tinted lip balms last year and only 2 this year. So I used up less than half the lip products that I did in 2017. 11 last year versus 5 this year. Last year, the total I used up was $826.54. This year, it was $779.01. And I hit relatively close to 1,000 both years, which is why I feel like if I push it, if I try a little bit harder, I might be able to hit 1,000 this year. I'm just being very optimistic about it. And when we look at cruelty-free versus non-cruelty-free, I used up 24 cruelty-free products and 25 non-cruelty-free products last year, and 29 this year that are cruelty-free, and only 11 that are non-cruelty-free. And I think a big reason for that is because I just had fewer non-cruelty-free products in my collection. I was really focusing on using up the ones that I had in my collection already last year, so this year I didn't have as many to use up, so I still think that's good. I used up about 1/5 or 20% less products than I did last year. That accounts for me having new products in my collection and buying new stuff to try out throughout the year. I feel like I thought I was going to use far less this year compared to last year because, like I said, I didn't have any new makeup coming in 2017. But I still feel like even though I had new makeup coming in, I still feel like I used up enough at a healthy enough pace that I was still focusing on stuff I already had, and I wasn't just neglecting the stuff I had for all the new stuff coming in. Okay, back to the middle again. So those are all the numbers I have to share with you today. Let me know if you like when I incorporate charts and numbers. Some people seem to really respond to that positively. Some people don't really care or don't even want numbers incorporated at all. Let me know what you think. In the meantime, that's everything I have. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful new year, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.